Chag Sameach, if you are watching from home, we still could use 2 more people here at the center. So feel free to come on by. It's like I talk to nobody, but maybe there's someone watching.
Yeah, well,
Prince, how's your holiday going?
Oh, not bad at all. I had a great time. Well, busy. And up more than I normally be.
What?
I'm up more than I normally be, because I normally take my naps.
Well, thanks for being here.
Sleeping after whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know what that's like.
No matter what time I go to bed, I still get good.
Oh, yeah? Very appropriate. I'm curious what it happened for this holiday. Dedicated to his granddaughter. I don't know if I've seen dedication to his granddaughter. Dedicated my granddaughter. Laura Simona.
Friends, welcome to Your Honor. Not only do I think that it is a wonderful thing, and we're very used to so many things, but I got to learn so much about you by reading that blurb. That was really interesting. Isn't it? It must be a little, you know, I don't know. I don't even know what to say, but to read all of that about yourself.
Anyone who might be watching.
Oh.
But I don't know if anyone's watching.
Try to keep it short as possible.
Pardon me?
I try to keep it short as possible.
They closed them because we had other kids programming over the course of the weekend.
It's closed, because when I set the alarm, that door has to be closed.
I know. And then
If
that
this
one's
is all
open.
open,
You're like,
I know, so it's like,
I've now
locking this
locked
door,
the door.
and that's
Right.
open, you know?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Okay, well, Chag Sameach, everybody. We'll start anyway, because what else are we going to do? And we're on page 170. Page 170. Ashrei Yoshevei Tachod Yehalucha Selah Shem Shekachalo. Tehillat Adonai Yidar Rapi V'Berech Kavasar Shem Kotshol Elam Va'ed V'Nachne V'Arech Yam Yatav Elam Hallelujah Uval Etzion Goel Shem Shem Ve'ata Kadosh Yotel Shakazel Zevemar Kadosh 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 Nathlar Skavodo Vatisa Eini Ruach V'Shmachar Rosh Kadol Erk V'Ranayim Komo Ranayim Loch Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'yiftechu b'chayodei shemecha k'lo letter shecha Adonai nechavet saman tzidko yagdil Torah v'yadir. The silent Amidah for the festival afternoon begins on page 184A or B and continues just the passages for Sukkot through page 188. That's fine, it's still silent on the holiday. Oh, I mean, it's okay. The Amidah is on page 184A or B through page 188. Yom Chag HaSukkot hazeh, Yom Chag HaSukkot hazeh. Osa shalom bimroma, asa shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yasa shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yasa shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. We turn back now to page 184A for Chazrat HaShatz, repetition of the Amidah for the festival afternoon. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, v'Elokei Yaakov, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot, U'Mevi Goel Limnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo v'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Amen. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נקדש שמך בעולם גשם, שרתי שבתו ישנים ארום, ככתוב ביד נביאך, וקרא זל זה ואמר. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך על הארץ כבודו, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, דברי קודשך כתוב לאמור. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, מלך ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לנצח נצחים קדושך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו פינו למוש לעולם ועד, כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. אתה בחרתנו מכל העמים, אהבת אותנו ורצית בנו, ורוממתנו מכל לשונות, וקידשנו במצוותיך, וקירבתנו מלכנו לעבודתך, בשמך הגדול והקדוש עלינו קראת, ותיתן לנו אלוהינו באהבה, מועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון, את יום חג הסוכות הזה, זמן שמחתנו מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, יעלה ויבוא ויגיע ויראה וירצה וישמע ויפקד ויזכר זיכרוננו פיקדוננו וזיכרון אבותינו וזיכרון משיח בן דוד עבדך וזיכרון ירושלים עיר קודשך וזיכרון כל עמך בית ישראל לפניך לפלטה לטובה. וכן חסד ורחמים וחיים ושלום ביום חג הסוכות הזה, זוכרנו אלינו בו לטובה ופוקדנו בו לברכה והושיענו בו לחיים. ובדבר ישועה ברחמים חוס וחנן ברחמנו הושיענו כי אליך עינינו כי המלך חנון ורחום אתה והעשיינו אדוני אלוהינו בברכת מועדיך לחיים ולשלום ושמחה וששון כאשר רצית ואמרת לברכנו אלוהינו ולאבותינו קדשנו במצוותיך ותנחלנו בתורתך סבנו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו בשמחה וששון מועדי קודשך וישמחו בך ישראל מקדשי שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש ישראל והזמנים רצי אדוני אלוהינו בך ישראל בתפילתם והשבת העבודה לדבר ביתך תפילתם בבת תקבל ברצון ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודה ישראל עמך ותחזנה עינינו משפחת ציון ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון מודים אנחנו לך שתחו אלוהינו ולחץ הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך והמרחם כי לא תמוך חסדך מעולם קיווינו לך ועל כולם יתברכו רם שלך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד וכל החיים ידעוך סלה ואלוהי שמך באמת האל ישרתנו וזרתנו סלה ברוך אתה אדוני הטוב שמך אלחנה להודות שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amacha Yisrael Bechol eit u'bechol sha'ah bishlomecha Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amacha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Baruch Atah Adonai Baruch Amo Yisrael B'Shalom. Kaddish Shalem, page 189. Yitkadav Yikadash Shemei Rav Amen Ve'amad Yivrach L'irtei V'nechach L'tei V'chayechon V'mechon V'chayedecho V'Yisrael V'agalav Izman Karim V'imru Amen Ye'esh Shmei Rav Amevarach Le'alam Le'am Me'amaya Yiparach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitmam V'yinaseh V'yidar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shemei Dekudshah B'recha Leila mi kober chatav shirata tishvechata v'nechamata da'amiram v'mavimru amen. Tikabal tzatan v'atan doch Yisrael v'namachni v'shmaya v'imru amen. Yesh l'aramin shemaya v'chaim alenu ko Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imramav u'ya'aseh shalom alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'tegedu la'leoter reshit shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'goralenu kechol amonam va'anachnu Mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim ve'osed haaretz u'moshav yikaru b'shamayim imav u'shchinatu zo Bego ve'meromim Hu Eloheinu Eino Ki amalchut shelcha hi amatim loch b'chavok v'katu b'toratecha Adonai loch le'olam ba'erev v'nemar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Fondness and affection to recall those members of our community, our congregational family whose yard sites come to a close at sundown this evening, the 16th of the month of Tishrei. We remember Abraham Schwartzberg, Annette Weitzman Randolph, Edna Maltz, Gloria Greenberg, Israel Kagan, Lenore Lipkin Liu, Moshe Sashnovich, Norma Fink Lazarus, Rose Brownstein, Susan Andrisi, Sydney Shander, Rose Fletcher, and William Bluestein. Yehi Zichram Baruch, May their memories be for a blessing. May they rest in peace.
Amen.
Mourners Kaddish Kaddish Yatom, page 191. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach irte v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach ve'elam olomei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. As is our custom between Mincha and Mariv on festivals, we take a bit of a pause. So we are going to set aside our Sidurim for just a few minutes, and we will come back to Mariv when it is time for Mariv in a little while. What I decided to bring you guys today is there was a, I'll put this over here for now. There was an interesting project that happened in New York City back in 2010, I want to say. Was called Sukkot City. And they had a big contest, sort of, where all these different groups of people, some were architects, but some were just regular people. They got together and they decided to build all different kinds of Sukkot right in the middle of Manhattan. And my mom and I went to go visit to see these interesting structures. So I've brought some pictures, and I've also brought some descriptions of some of them. And I figured what we could do is I could show you some of the pictures and then take a vote on which ones you'd like to learn a little more about before I just decide for you. There's a lot of them. So the first one is called Star Cocoon, and it looked like this. You guys can pass that around.
I assume that it didn't have to be halachically kosher.
No, you know, I had printed out one extra page that told me a little bit more about the rules of the contest, but I can't find that page right now. So, and it's been about 12 or 13 years since I went to this exhibit, but it was very cool. I think some of them are. I don't think that they had to be. This one I actually really enjoyed. It's called Sukkot of the Signs. It's made out of homeless cardboard signs. You can pass that around. Yeah. This next one is called Single Thread, and you can imagine it's made of a single thread.
You snooze, you lose.
Flip one back around. This next one was called Gathering, and it has a quite interesting shape. It started at the bottom and went up towards the top.
Was this in Union Square?
I think it was in Union Square.
Yeah, they had that before.
Yeah.
I mean, that,
The next one was called Repetition Meets Difference, Stability Meets Volatileness. It looks like it's going to fall over on itself, but it's sort of stable and not so much at the same time. It'd be better if we like had a table and we could like pass them around, but there's only so much, you know. It's okay. This one is called Intention. I think it's a play on the word for intention and also tension a little bit. And I can always stop at some point if we decide we don't want to see anymore, but this one is called Log. It was a log sitting on top of two basically clear pieces of like plexiglass or something of that nature. The next one was called the Shim Sukkah. It was made all out of pieces of tinder and tinkerwood.
Well, you know what shim is?
Yeah, the little pieces of wood that kind of go push under.
Yeah. That's what shim is.
This one was called Fractured Bubble, and you could walk in between them. You could kind of go inside and see that they look like. Yeah, they're really cool. It was quite an interesting exhibit. This one was called Time and Timeless.
What is a drawing?
Some of them were renditions and some of them were pictures of the actual thing. This one was called Blow Puff. Kind of looks like a blowfish. This was called P. Wygros C. Passive Hygroscopic Curls. And there's actually two pictures about it. One that has a little bit more different views of it. And there were more, but those are the ones that I had printed. So as you look around, I know there's too many of them, but is there one that strikes someone's fancy they'd like to learn a bit more about?
The old sign.
What? Oh, the really tall one with the signs? Yeah, it's a really cool one. What do you think? They're all really cool, right?
So what's your question then?
I was asking if anyone wants to learn more about a specific one or more than one. People wanted to ask about the sign. And that one? Yes, so we'll take a look. Does anybody have the one with the sign still? There's one you missed? Was it that second one that I gave out? Okay, so that one I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's
Either way, it's still going around.
the roof, that's the most important piece.
Some of them are like a PSX, you know, but Finland.
Some of them would be safe to go.
Oh, it's right here. Susan, it's over here.
Yeah.
Susan? It's over here.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like a,
That was the sign.
Yeah, that one I really liked.
That's
That's because it was repurposed from homeless cardboard signs.
When you say homeless.
Like boxes that people had written on, please help me, I'm hungry, unemployed, and
Okay,
homeless,
alright,
thank
I
you.
really do mean, okay.
Yes,
So we
I
should
really do
mention
mean
It
that.
may not have been authentic.
It's also, yes, I'll tell you what it says. It says, just as the Sukkah commemorates shelter provided during the 40 desert wandering years of Exodus, the design for our Sukkah brings attention to the contemporary state of homelessness and wandering within the United States, and is clad with signs made by the homeless and destitute. By purchasing homeless signs from the individuals who made them, we are also contributing to a meal for someone who might not otherwise be able to eat today, in honor of the primary and traditional role of Sukkah, which is a feast of bounty, of hospitality, and of welcoming strangers. Additionally, the corrugated board shingles are made of fibers of hardwood trees, and therefore one could equate them to the historical use of branches on the Sukkah roofs. The frame of our Sukkah tapers as it moves towards the sky to draw the eye up, which, if you don't know, is also one of the rules of building a Sukkah. It's supposed to draw your eye towards the sky. At least I read that one. And also to provide a smaller framework for the shingles that are less than 4 handbreadths, relating directly to the presence and scale of the hand in each of the handmade signs. This Sukkah for Sukkah City would be auctioned and the funds donated to a homeless shelter in New York City. And I think that the ones that I have were all proposals. I don't know if all of them ended up getting built. I know I remember this one.
So what was the process? People.
I don't know 100% what they were.
And then.
I think certain ones of them got chosen to be built,
Oh, okay.
but I don't think all of them did, and didn't have enough time to look through the website again to answer that question.
But you and your mother.
My mom and I went to go see the exhibit. We went to see them erected. They were already up, and you kind of could walk through. So there's some that I remember seeing, and some, it was a big space. You might not have had time to go see all of them. In Union Square.
Union Square, okay.
Yeah. So besides Sukkah of the Signs, which other one people asked about? The one that was sort of spiraling on itself.
That one's good to make, I'm sure.
This one, repetition meets difference. So I wish I had a piece of tape.
Actually, so did you say you printed out, oh no, you didn't find the sheet
I have it somewhere. I know I printed it right before the holiday, and I don't know what I did with it, and there's only so much time to look in the office for things.
You know, it's ironic that Union Square, where you got a lot of homeless and a lot of
Yeah.
wholesale spots right there, so it shows a real unique location. Sure, it's in Union Square.
Yeah. So this one, there's someone else who wants to read it. I don't have to read them all, but there is a description of this one. It says, our design reflects the original meaning of the word sukkah and the associated verb schach, which, depending on its relative context, means braided, or acanthicus prickly spinous brush. The word sukkah that means not only a small hut constructed by human beings, but even a natural thicket, which functions, for example, as a hideout for lions. Our sukkah adverts to the famous Knots study of Konrad Wachsmann, a German Jewish architect and engineer, born in Germany and had to emigrate to the U.S. during the Second World War and lived in the U.S. since 1941. He designed the wooden packaged house system, together with a man named Walter Gropius. The building could be erected by 5 workers within less than 9 hours. Basically, he made multiple researchings to intelligent and universal knots in the universities of Chicago and Los Angeles. Our design tries to get a real expressive shape out of only 3 wooden Wachsmann knots. The origin country of the kind of wood that they use is Israel, on the one hand olive, and US, on the other hand, walnut and maple. 3 kinds of simple wooden knots generate an astonishing free-formed meshwork, which stabilizes itself by physically complexity and interweavement. That's what they said. The emanation of our sukkah is at the same time firm and ephemeral, so is the Jewish ritual of the sukkah. And again, these are written sort of as proposals, so it has a bit of that pride in the people who designed it, but also they want to explain how it connects, why theirs should be chosen. I think this one was, but I guess I couldn't remember anymore. I went on their website and there were so many more than I remember. But any other ones of them stuck out to anybody?
The Baba.
The what?
The Baba, something Baba. Is that practice or something?
Maybe could we, like.
Place them out on the floor? Sure.
Maybe, or maybe even over here.
On the table or wherever.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Can I lay
please.
them over
Say
here?
wooden knots.
I don't know how you make wooden knots, to be honest, but that's what they said. Yeah, I remember seeing the one that said log, because I was like, it's so weird to see the log kind of suspended in
I
midair.
know, and then I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if it was an elephant?
What they
Yeah,
need
it's
was,
like a log.
that
I've
pole,
really got
right, when you
elephants
got
on
flat
my
iron,
Yeah,
right
I like
there.
this one.
I thought the shim one would, yeah, that one's really neat too. But what's so interesting about this one is that because you only see this one side, how do you go in? What does it
Yeah,
look like on the
There
inside?
was an
Like,
opening. Let me see what it
and
says.
how did they construct that?
Yeah.
Single family like that one. I thought shim looked very light and airy, and surprisingly so.
Mm-hmm. Here, feel free to. I liked this one. This one, fractured bubble.
Yeah,
That's the one I think that.
Sure, I'll talk
That's
about
very
that. in a second.
beautiful.
But you're not sure if all of them were built or not?
I don't think they were all built, but I know that many of them were. This one I think I remember standing in, so we'll read about that one in a second.
For the fire.
Find the page about it first.
Timeless. Yeah, what was timeless?
I'll tell you in a second. It looks, yeah, I think it's just a picture, like a rendering. So this sukkah bubble is ephemeral and transient like a bubble. Separates inside from outside with a thin, permeable membrane. Outside is the world of everyday life, and inside we gather with our loved ones. Together we look out to the world to find it fresh again, transformed. So the sukkah is bubble made of simple materials: plywood, marsh, grass, and twine. And its form is a sphere fractured into 3 sections, each section rotated around a common datum, which I guess is the data point that they're talking about. The structural grid and the rotation are all controlled parametrically. Make me sound like I don't know what I'm saying, because science words are hard. Because of the spherical geometry, each of the sections in both wall and roof simultaneously. So their sections were wall and roof. Each 3 sections, we're using kind of each of those kinds. And if you look on this page, I'll pass it around in a minute, but it shows you sort of a cross-section of it. To make it kosher, they provide 3 sections that are like walls and covered them with schach like the roof. And the visitor enters through the fractures. Schach is made of phragmites, an invasive species that have taken over our wetlands. It grows fast and tall and is readily available for free. The phragmites attach loosely to the sukkah through randomly scattered holes in the ribs, and they follow the curvature of the sections to create a crosshatch effect, which provides shade from the sun. The density is calibrated such that one can still see stars at night. The circles and the twine infill the surface of the sukkah. And the twine creates another layer of crosshatch, and the circles create the holes in the bubble. And the parametric control of the structure allows the holes to frame selected views from any given site to tailor the experience to looking out through the bubble. So you might get a better sense of what I'm talking about if you look at sort of the cross sections that they show you on this page as you pass that around. Because this picture only shows you one view, as Susan said before. Some of the Sukkot on these pictures only give you one little view or vantage point. We'll put that here. We have questions about time and timeless and what that was made out of? Let's see.
It's funny that it's called fractured bubble because it looks so fun. Like I think of bubbles being
As
smooth
you airy and light and round and
translucent.
Yes.
And these are transparent.
so this time and timeless says one of the strengths of a temporary structure is it is not necessarily tied to any specific time or place. By its very nature, it may not exist for a prolonged period of time before it's destroyed, disassembled, or reconstructed in a new location. Okay, they're talking about the artistic reason behind this structure aims to achieve an awareness of time through removing the viewer from their surroundings and placing them into an environment in which they can only appreciate the passing of time by the changing of daylight and the eventual emergence of the night sky. So this one is made from hessian, which is made from hemp vegetable fibers. And they're fabric strips that hang from the roof, and they intensify the separation from the outside, and they become an element of the roof itself. The fabric makes the structure appear to float, further developing the light, temporary, fragmented nature of the assembly. It's constructed from standard lengths and sections of soft wood, and relies not on mechanical fixings, but on saw junctions tied with thick hemp rope, encouraging a sensation of the transient and of a light structure. So pieces of wood that are attached with rope made of hemp, I guess. Sort of hard to tell, but it gives you a bit of a breakdown of what it was supposed to be made of, but it's not clear enough to be able to read the words that go with it. We could, after the holiday, I would recommend going online, Google Sukkot City. It was really a cool project, and there's tons of pictures and more sites and explanations of all these different kinds of Sukkot.
And
Who sponsored it?
Sponsored
I don't remember. I actually have in the other room also, they printed a list of rules of how to build a sukkah that they have shared that I've used for different lessons that we've done. And there's really one interesting rule that they shared, that a sukkah apparently doesn't have a maximum area. It's allowed to be as big as you want, except in New York City, where there's a certain area that once your structure gets to be that big, it is no longer considered temporary. So in New York City, it was like, I have it in my office, I don't remember for sure what the number was, but I'll tell you guys another time. Well, I liked this one, so I'll tell you a little bit more about this one.
Temporary, even if it is going to be temporary, like taken
Right,
down.
it is not considered a temporary structure by New York zoning laws.
Right.
If it's larger than a certain area,
Right.
you probably needed some sort of permit, that's right. So this one, the one that's called Gathering, talks about how for 40 years the Israelites wandered the desert, and they found rest from their wandering, communing with one another in shelters built of brush and trees. The city is similar. We wander its streets and get lost in the chaos. In the city, we search for our own trees and our own temporary moments of urban intimacy. The sukkah is an icon for this relief from transience, and this project explores what a temporary structure can be in an urban environment. The relationship of transience to the nonlinear system is in how singular pieces move towards certain attraction points. So that they're saying is that the pieces are trying to get you to look in one direction. The result is calculated yet unpredictable structure, because as your sticks shift, they create a specific entry and space of occupation. Now the movement in the body of the user have direct interaction with the structure itself. Through the randomness of these pieces, the light is manipulated, and it's through this intangible material that a space becomes dynamic. I feel like some of these explanations are over my head, so I apologize. Hopefully they're not too far over everyone else's. But the sticks were basically attached in certain areas, and then seemingly could shift and move a little bit. It was a really cool one, this one I remember seeing.
Yeah, thank you.
Which one were you just describing?
I was describing the one that's called Gathering.
The one that's like.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite?
Did I have a favorite? I really think I liked the one with the signs the best.
Me too.
It was just it looked really cool from the inside, and it was a really nice message. So
It was a
Did it have any stuff on top?
I don't think so. I
Sounds
think
like-
it just got so narrow that it had like a little area for sunlight, but because their signs were made of hardwood trees and fiber, you know, that's what they were saying, sort of like the corrugated cardboard is sort of like made of fiber tree, so that's sort of, I guess, for them, but it's not really, you know, kosher in that way. But
I mean, at some point, you could say that a metal roof, iron ore, it's,
from the earth.
it's organic, at some point.
Yes.
So, okay. But still, it's conceptual.
Right.
Yeah, it was the most socially conscious of all.
Yeah. I don't know. Has anybody ever seen a sukkah that was really interesting or different than what you expect to see?
Yeah.
What are, not necessarily these, but what are some, like in just regular life? Has there ever been a sukkah that you saw, or some aspect, or did you ever have a story about making a sukkah that was different? I know my friends and I, when we were in college, the Hillel decided to give out grants so you could purchase materials to make a sukkah, and my friend decided we were going to make a 10 by 10 foot sukkah, and no one said to him, who needs a 10-foot tall sukkah? It's like, we don't need it that high. So the second year we took the pieces of wood back to Home Depot and had them cut off like 2 feet. An 8-foot tall sukkah is really big enough, especially for many, Jewish kids at Brandeis. We didn't need it to be quite that high. But we bought these pieces of wood, and we drilled holes in them, and we bought these little brackets, and we put this big wooden sukkah up. It wasn't the most lightweight, but it was sturdy enough, and found some canvas sheets in the bottom of the chapel. We put those up as walls, decorated it, slept in it. It was really great. There was only one time that it fell down when someone was sleeping in it.
No.
And luckily it just fell down kind of like around her. And the next year we made sure to make it a little more sturdy.
The Warners have
I was gonna say, I
an interesting sukkah.
because Bruce is an architect, at the University of Florida, at least when I was in college, every year it would be a contest. They would give them the rules of how to make a kosher one, and they'd set them up all at different parts of
Oh, cool.
campus. But the Warners, well, because Bruce was part of that. Was also, yeah, so their whole was this big.
Right.
It's acrylic.
Acrylic?
It looked like,
And so they've repurposed it into a sukkah, and
Oh, cool.
so it's like clear walls, kind of,
yeah,
and then,
it was pretty cool. So Bruce explained that it made for a great wedding homily that they
Mhm.
were, at their chuppah was
Right,
going
had been a
to be
sukkah.
But it looks like,
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
it reminds me of something from Star Trek.
yeah, it's sharp edges, like kind of jagged when you take it apart and make it a sukkah, where it's
And
like,
like, beam me up.
yeah, when it was like more rounded, but
Yeah.
now it's like, it's very cool. Yeah.
It's, I guess it's held up.
do you remember
Yes.
going to
Like
the
this one.
museum years ago?
Not at all, but also star related.
Yeah. I was actually surprised that when you Google sukkah, how many options there are to buy. Because I accidentally hit the shopping tab.
Yes. Someone asked me today,
Oh, interesting.
where do you usually buy a sukkah online? And I said, well, there's multiple sites, and I can't tell you, one specific one that we recommend. I said, actually, Edith is the one I would ask if I was going to ask someone in our community, because I feel like she's been building Sukkot all over the community for a while with the Mitzvah Project and everything else. So, I don't know.
And also, I don't know, does the men's club still do it where they used to go around and build sukkahs for the community, you could buy one, but
No, so the men's club actually, we got a couple of them to come out to help decorate the sukkah on Wednesday night when we had the religious school families come to decorate the sukkah. But we have some of our middle school students will sometimes build sukkot for different people depending on if they know about it, if they know that someone needs it or
How
wants it.
easy it is.
And right, how
Yeah,
difficult is the kit?
I just recall that from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because my dad taught my kids nuts.
Right.
Sukkah.
In more recent years, the men's club, they would come out and they would try.
Oh, I do, are we, is it 7:49, is that the idea? Okay, so we're still a little early. Anybody else have one or two that they wanna learn a little more about? No? It's a highlight of your holiday so far.
How long did they leave them up in New York City in 1910?
What?
How long did they leave them up?
In 2010? I don't remember.
1910, right?
This is from 2010.
2010?
It was from 2010.
Who
Yes, I was not alive in 1910 to see it.
Who's sponsored?
I don't remember who it was sponsored by.
So what about that organic greenish looking?
Oh yeah, the one that sort of looks like it's inside someone's body or inside someone's plant, like a cross section of a plant. Let's see. Thank you. This one says, embrace tradition while decorating it your way. This one proposes to reinvent the common sukkah morphology into a continuous network of timber grid shell structures while following the ancestral rules. Wood is a natural fiber composite material, and due to the directional dependency of its structural properties, overlapping 2 layers of stripes as thin as timber veneer, if of opposite direction, creates a very strong and rigid structure, yet extremely lightweight and translucent. So the 3-dimensional lattice is wrapping itself around to create rigid pipe-like structures that get bundled together, shaping from ground up 3 organic walls that join and twirl at the top. In order to discover the created channels views to the stars, one has to insert his or her head within one of the lower trumpet aperture openings in the bottom, discovering within the intricate network many side views offering social interaction and all sorts of possible effects through the filtering of light. Let's see. Thin timber veneer stripes also display deliquescent qualities, defined as the material's potential to absorb humidity from its ambient surrounding environment. What is usually perceived as a negative effect can actually produce passive variations along the life of the sukkah and activate its surrounding. So again, I'm sorry, I don't understand all the words that I'm reading, but I'm trying. Through absorption of moisture and respectively its disposal, the material expands or contracts while undergoing dimensional changes. Purposely overextending tips of the wooden strips allow real-time passive registration of the humidity level of its environment by bending up and twisting into natural curly shapes during wet weather, revealing the bright green painted underfaces, and bending back to a flat wood aspect when dry. So it sounds sort of like it is flat until it gets wet and then it curves, and so it kind of changes based on the weather. So what can be seen as a tip to curls behavior is also aiming to activate social awareness to passive energy in the surrounding of the Union Square Public Plaza. So this one also has kind of a top cross section of what you could imagine it sort of looking like at the top. Let me pass that one around too. Yeah, they're all kind of complicated.
What is single thread made of?
Made of one thread, but let's see what the thread was made of.
What is the thread?
Yeah, let's see what the thread was made of. And then we will move into Mari and end this part of our holiday. Single thread. Common, single, spun, continuous, mythical, spool of, and the logic of Ariadnes. This sukkah is constructed by threading a single spool of wire around intersections of a temporary bamboo scaffold, supported by a plank floor made of reclaimed lumber. Once the continuous wire is fully unraveled from the spool, the scaffolding is removed, leaving a rigid yet porous enclosure of singular materiality and perplexing simplicity. So they had like a frame, they put the string all around it, and then they got rid of the frame. And they still had this plywood on the bottom. The process can be reversed and repeated. The wire is unthreaded, raveled back onto the spool, and transported to the next site. Each unraveling and threading produces new kinks and bends that become part of the texture of each new sukkah. The dimensions are variable, and each wrapping produces a unique form. As the scaffold is removed pole by pole, the thick cloth of wire settles into a taut, self-determined structure. This loose fabric allows for a field of fresh flowers to be hung and dried above the table. So seemingly inside their sukkah, they have these flower decorations above the table they have inside their sukkah. And then it says, a frugal and temporal nature of this sukkah is expressed by a single line, designers and craftsperson's most simple device, both drawing and object in one. A dense 2,000-pound spool of wire, its beginning and end brackets a long meandering line that contains all possibilities or none. Extensive, full-scale tests of the actual material will be performed to develop proper wrapping patterns to ensure structural soundness and guarantee occupant safety. A simple line between 2 points nearly the length of Manhattan, or a elusive tangle of indeterminate thickness. So, they're kind of fascinating. I mean, I don't know.
Sounds like they're stringing us.
They're stringing us along, yes, Rabbi, thank you. 2,000-pound spool.
That's 26 miles.
Yeah, they said nearly the length. Guess so. Well, thanks for exploring these Sukkot with me. And again, I encourage you to look it up online after the holiday so you can see what else was there, or what else could have been there, I guess. We'll take these away for now, but in just a minute, we'll have Rabbi lead Mari for us on page 137. Please rise.
And if you'd like to build any of these, Rabbi Rose is available.
Plans are still available.
Yes. One second. No, that's okay. Last piece. Yeah, got it.
All right, well, you wait a second for Baruch Hu.
Yes, page 137.
והוא רחום יחבר בם לא ישחית והבא לישיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו אדוני יושיע המלך ידנו ביום קוראנו.
Maybe seated.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מערבים. חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. ועברך תשים ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. המלך נאמן. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך שנשפך. תזכ. ולהיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת ואמונה כזאת. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה בני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך בלים אדוני מי כמוך מדר בקודש נורא תהילה אוסף אלה מלכותך רוב ענך בקיים לפני משה זה לי אנו ויאמרו Adonai yimloch le'olam v'en. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב הגיע לו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 140.
ושמוצאתנו בואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ולעולם ברוך אתה אדוני שומר עמו ישראל לעד. כי המלכות שלך היא למעט תמלוך בכבוד, כי אין לנו מלך אלא אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, המלך בכבודו, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד והכל מעשיו. יקדע ויקדש שם רבה, ועמד יברא קירותי וימלך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמר רבם ברך לעולם ולעולם היה. יפרח וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתגלש בנקודשה. ברך ולעולם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Silent Amidah for the evening and conclusion of Yom Tov is on page 142, A or B. The paragraph for the conclusion of the festival is on page 143 in the small print, and the paragraph for Sukkot to the bottom page 145. Should be all added to your personal Amidah, which concludes on page 148.
Yelev Yavov Yagia. Yom Chagas Sukkot Asa. יתגדל ויקדש שם רבה. ועמד דברה קידותי וימלך מלכותי בחייכון וימיכון. ובחיי דרך בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב ימנו אמן. יש מרבה מברך לעולם לא מהמיה. יפרק וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ונעשה ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלש ונקודשה. ברכו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה וימנו אמן. תתקבל צלתו נבעתו נוחה ישראל קודם ההון ושמיה וימנו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים על הנבחר ישראל וימנו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום על הנבחר ישראל וימנו אמן. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו ממכנו בזולתו. אוקיי, נקודה אלוהינו. כך כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. נאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Fondness and affection to recall those members of our community, our congregational family whose yard sites begin this evening, the 17th of Tishrei. We remember Beulah Shapiro, Beverly Weinstock, Henry Bernard, Herbert Storch, Judge Louis Safer, Nathan Siegel, Philip Morton Carter, Sarah Goldberg, and Sylvia Lubliner. Music from my rough, may their memories be for us in prayers of peace.
Amen.
Warner's Cottage, Kadishiat Home, page 151.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. מעמד דברה קידותי וימלך מלכותי. בחייכון וימיכון, חיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. ברכו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, חיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן.
Morning, evening, throughout this time of year, we turn back to page 92 to add a psalm for the season of repentance, Psalm 27, again, page 92.
לדוד אדוני רבישי ממי רד רמזכם ממי אבחד. שמע אדוני כל יקרא וכונן ויענני. Luhulehem antilra p'tivadonai be'eretz chayim. Kavel Adonai chazak v'yametz libecha v'kavel Adonai.
Warner Scottish is found once again on page 151 or page 100.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'omad divra kirutei v'yamlech malchutei. V'chayechon v'yamechon. V'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agalav v'zman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam le'omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha. Brechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tishbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'oma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Aseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen.
We'll turn back to page 137 for Baruch as we conclude the rest.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Vorach Le'olam Vahed.
Sharkah, so Rabbi Leader for leading us in Minyan this evening. And for everybody for being here tonight, we're going to go to the Sukkot for just a minute to do a real quick Havdalah. It's the just Havdalah with the grape juice. There's no spices or candle. It's a quick blessing as we conclude Shabbat together.
Yom Tov. Yom Tov.
Yes, Yom Tov. I meant Yom Tov. We had the conclusion of Shabbat yesterday. The conclusion of Yom Tov. Thank you. We'll just walk to the Sukkot, and then everyone is free to go. And all the good things.